And joining us now to discuss today's certification of Trump's election victory is Bart Marcois, former presidential campaign advisor. Thanks for coming on today, Bart. How do you expect the process to go today? Smoothly, not smoothly?
Oh, I think it'll go smoothly. The Democrats will throw up a couple of, token efforts to put a bump in the road, probably, but they won't go anywhere. This passes by a majority vote, and the Republicans are solidly united.
Okay, and changes were made to the Electoral Count Act in 2022. What were some of those changes, and how do they impact what we see take place during today's procedure?
Yeah, essentially what they did, they clarified the role of the vice president and said the vice president does not have the power to stop the vote. And, that was kind of a specious bill because the plan that President Trump and the Republicans and for that matter Mike Pence had the night before was not that he would stop the vote, but that he would call for a vote of the majority to see whether the Congress was willing to take 2 weeks and investigate the claims of voter fraud and election fraud. That's all they ever wanted him to do. And Mike Pence decided against doing it after having committed to the president the night before that he would do it.
And there was an increase to the threshold. I think you know what I'm talking about. So what would happen if there were an objection to a state's electoral votes that met the required threshold? What do you think?
Oh, yeah. It used to be that one member could raise an objection and stop it. Now it takes, I think it's a fifth of the membership to stop it, if I remember correctly.
And what will happen if we did meet that threshold?
Oh, I think that then the two houses recess, the Senate and the House recess. They take a vote and they come back. But again, it comes to a majority vote, and all it will mean is a temporary interruption. They'll come back and they'll vote and they'll say, no, we want to go forward. We heard the objection, we've looked at it, and we want to go forward.
So the session is largely a formality, but plays a critical role in the democratic process. Can you talk to us about what is important to you, perhaps, about this process?
Well, what's important to me is that they finish it and then that President Trump gets inaugurated on the 20th, and then we can investigate all of the things that led up to the whole January 6th so-called riot. I'd like to see the 550-odd riots that the Democrats conducted in the previous year during 2020 investigated. There's not been one arrest made for any of those riots. There's not been, or certainly not for the arrest in for the riot around the White House. 3 days of rioting and burning the Church of the Presidents. Nobody even looked into that. Nobody looked into that. They didn't investigate it. They didn't make a single arrest. I'd like to see an investigation into the pipe bomb the person placing the pipe bomb 4 years ago. This morning, the FBI released a video and further evidence of the suspect who placed the pipe bomb. We have him on video placing a pipe bomb outside DNC headquarters and RNC headquarters, and they waited 4 years to release the video. There are probably 24 Ring doorbell cameras that he walked past on his way, or she. It's somebody who's 5'7", and they're not sure whether it's a male or a female. Nobody looked for cell phone data. They've made over 1,600 arrests of people who entered the Capitol or even were on Capitol grounds 4 years ago on January 6th. But they can't find this guy, and they've been unable to find him, and they wait 4 years to release the video. I'd like to see that kind of thing investigated. The two levels of justice and of law enforcement. I'd love to see that rectified.
So with that all being said just now, is there an aspect of the current framework, the Electoral College and the certification process and anything related to that? Is there anything to be improved in your opinion?
No, No, the Constitution is very clear. The Electoral College works. It's a brilliant system that makes sure that every voter has a chance to have an impact. Without the Electoral College, the only votes that would count would be those coming from Los Angeles, Chicago, and New York City, maybe Atlanta. Nobody else's vote would matter. It would be just a plain old popular vote. And if you didn't live in those cities, your vote wouldn't matter. And so it's a brilliant system. We just need to have Democrats abide by the rule of law and accept the law and accept the U.S. Constitution that has guaranteed our freedoms for almost 250 years.
And let's talk a little bit about how has January 6, 2021, 4 years ago, right, impacted everything, this process, both in Congress and the public eye. Can you just speak to everything related to that?
Sure, I will. My answer might surprise you a little bit. I think that the backlash that the Democrats and the media and many in the Republican establishment that they generated against President Trump and against his supporters, and the ferocity with which the FBI and other federal law enforcement officials pursued the people who were at the Capitol on January 6th, I think the backlash to that actually helped President Trump get reelected in 2024. People saw that this was part and parcel of working hand in glove with the other aspects of the lawfare that tried to keep President Trump off the ballot, that tried to, that made up a new law with which to charge him in New York, that lifted the statute of limitations, that fabricated a federal case out of a state case so that they could do that. All the things that they manufactured to go against him worked along with January 6th. We've got people that are in prison for trespassing. They've been in prison for 2.5, 3 years, 4 years in some cases, almost 4 years for trespassing. And they're in prison in one of the worst jails in the country, in the DC jail. Many of them were in solitary confinement. 2 of them committed suicide. Now that people know that happened, everyone looked at that and said, man, if they can do it to them, they could have done it to me. I was in Egypt visiting family on January 6th, 4 years ago. Had I not been there, I would have been down there at the rally. I probably would have gone onto the grounds when the police opened the doors of the Capitol. I would probably have gone in, as I would not have participated in any violence or any demonstration. I'm not that kind of guy, but if the doors were open, I would have walked in and walked around. And but for the grace of God, I was out of the country. Normal people were there. These were not insurrectionists. There were a handful of people that were going overboard. Some of them were MAGA supporters. Some of them were, regular Republicans who got out of hand. Some of them were agents provocateurs from the other side. And some of them were just nuts who wanted to be part of a public spectacle. I would not have gone along with the nuts or the public spectacle, but I probably would have gone in. And I'll bet you that most of those 1,600 people who've been arrested over this were just like me. They were normal people who went to see what was going on.
Right. All right. Bart, I wish we had more time to discuss this, but that's it for today. Thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.